Cognitive amplification, how to think in the AI era. Okay, so we live in this age of instant answers, right? But here's the real question we've all got to ask ourselves. Is AI actually making us smarter, or is it just making us better at, getting by? Today, we're going to dig into a really powerful idea that could be the key difference: cognitive amplification. You know this feeling, right? It's that tension. You type a question and boom, a perfect answer just pops up in seconds. I mean, it feels like a superpower. But then there's that little voice in the back of your head, isn't there? The one that's wondering, wait, is this making me lazy? Is my brain just turning to mush? That is the exact dilemma we're going to unpack. So think of it like this. There are basically two ways this can go. On one path, you've got AI as a cognitive substitute. That's where we just outsource our thinking. We let the machine do all the heavy lifting. But on the other path, you've got AI as a cognitive amplifier, a tool that actually enhances and sharpens our own thought process. And believe me, the choice between these two, it's everything. All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with that big choice, the automation dilemma. Then we'll get super practical with a framework for protecting your thinking loop. After that, we'll learn how to actually argue with AI. Yeah, you heard that right. We'll cover some new habits for these new tools. And finally, we'll talk about what it even means to be smart anymore. Okay, first up, the automation dilemma. This is all about a conscious shift in your mindset. Seriously, every single time you open an AI tool, you are standing at a fork in the road. And the question is simple. Are you going to substitute your brain, or are you going to amplify it? So let's get this definition straight, because it's our North Star for this whole conversation. A cognitive amplifier means the goal isn't just to get a quick answer from the AI. No. The real goal is to use the AI to help you arrive at a better, deeper understanding. It's a tool for your thought process, not a replacement of it. Big difference. Which leads us right into our next section, protecting your thinking loop. I mean, having the right mindset is great and all, but it's not enough, right? We need a real practical framework for how we actually use these tools day in and day out. And check out the structure of this loop. The most important part? Human thought comes first, and it comes last. It's like a sandwich. Before you even touch the AI, you do the work to find the problem, even predict some answers. Then you bring in the AI and compare its output to your own thinking. And this is so crucial. After you get that response, you're not done. Your job is to challenge it, poke holes in it, look for what it missed. This all boils down to a super simple but really powerful rule of thumb. This should be your personal test for every single time you use AI. Ask yourself this: can I explain the AI's answer in my own words? If the answer is no, then you haven't actually learned anything. You haven't amplified your intelligence. You've just borrowed it for a second. All right, this next part is fun. Section 3, how to argue with AI. The idea here is to completely change your relationship with it. Stop treating it like some all-knowing oracle and start treating it like a sparring partner. Something that you wrestle with to sharpen your own thinking. Just look at this comparison. It's night and day, right? The left side is all about being active and engaged. You're asking for counterarguments, you're demanding the logic behind an answer. The right side, that's totally passive. It's basically asking to be spoon-fed. And that one prompt, summarize so I don't have to read, wow, that's a really dangerous one, because you're outsourcing the most critical part of learning, actually understanding and putting the pieces together yourself. Here's a great way to think about it. Treat AI like a really smart, really fast junior assistant. They're super helpful, right? But you would never, ever let them make the final call on something important. You're the boss. You take their input, you question it, and you're the one who has the final say. That is the exact relationship we need to have with AI. And the skill that powers this whole thing is something called cognitive resistance. It's pretty much what it sounds like: the ability to push back, to not just accept the first answer you get, to actively hunt for the flaws. Think of it like a mental muscle. And just like any other muscle, you gotta train it. So let's talk about how to do that. It all starts with the questions you ask after you get an answer. So the AI spits something out. Your first thought shouldn't be, awesome, I'm done. It should be, okay, hold on. What assumptions are baked into this response that I'm not seeing? And then you've got to push it a little further. Ask, who benefits from this answer being framed this way? You have to remember, these AIs are trained on mountains of data created by humans, and that data is full of biases and different points of view. We have to be the filter for all of that. And finally, you need a reality check. Just ask yourself, what happens if this super confident sounding answer is just flat out wrong? What are the real world consequences?
Thinking about the stakes is what forces us to actually be careful and rigorous. So, all of this naturally leads us to our next section, building new habits. Because, look, knowing all this stuff is one thing, but we have to actually put it into practice if we want to build and maintain those cognitive muscles.
Look, there are some human skills that we absolutely have to protect, like they're a national treasure. AI is amazing at solving problems when they're neatly defined, but we humans, we excel at the messy stuff, the nuanced work, like framing the right problems to begin with, or getting into a complex debate, or mashing up ideas in a way nobody's ever seen before. These are the skills we have to practice on our own without AI as a crutch.
And that brings us to this really cool practical idea called AI fasting. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's like a digital detox, but for AI. You're intentionally scheduling time for your brain to just work on its own, completely unassisted. This is how we stop our core thinking skills from getting rusty and weak over time.
And listen, we're not talking about huge life-altering changes here. These are small, intentional habits. Like, just try it. Make the first draft of whatever you're writing a human-only draft. No AI allowed. Or maybe you dedicate one day a week to solving problems the old-fashioned way. These little acts of cognitive resistance, they add up and can make a massive difference. Okay, so all of this is pointing to our final, really big picture idea. We're calling it the new smart. Because the very definition of what it means to be intelligent, well, it's changing right in front of us, right now. Seriously, think about it. For literally centuries, being smart was all about memorization, speed, and recall. How much stuff could you hold in your head? Well, AI makes that almost totally obsolete. The skills that really matter now are the ones AI is terrible at. Things like asking fantastic questions, using good judgment, wrestling with tricky ethical problems, and, most importantly, taking responsibility for the outcome. And this brings us to what might be the single most important takeaway from all of this. The technology itself is not the risk. Let me say that again. AI is not going to make us dumb. We only become dumb when we make the choice to stop questioning, to stop reasoning, and to outsource our judgment. The danger isn't the tool. It's us giving up on our own thinking. Look, at the end of the day, the potential here is just incredible. If we use it right, AI can make us so much wiser, not lazier. But that responsibility, it's on us. It's all about the choices we make every day, the habits we build, and the tough questions we're brave enough to ask. So the only real question left is, how are you going to use it?